Hello, you wonderful people. Welcome back. This is it, part 3, the final part of Retro Train Booknook by Kaayee. Today, we're going to bring everything together, finishing the roof, adding the lighting, wiring up the mechanisms, and finally revealing the completed booknook. So let's just crack on with the build. Okay, so straight into it, we are going to be building the chimney. So we need F7 and then A4, and there's 7 of those and they just plug in. And initially I put these in the wrong way round. You then attach it to A6, and that's what that looks like when they're in the correct position. Oh, they're not in the correct position. Wait for it, wait for it. They are now. So yeah, that's what that looks like if they are in the correct position. So they scoop out. Then you glue that part onto there. That's F6 and A3. Then these parts, there's like A2 and there's 7 of those, and they plug in and they go at an angle facing in, and then you've got to join those 2 parts together, which is a bit of a fiddle because you have to move everything in and out with a screwdriver. But yeah, the end result was worth it. So you get to that stage. Now you add another part on. This ring goes on. Bearing in mind you've got that hole in the middle, and that's where the LED goes. That's an A3 part. In fact, there's 2 A3 parts, and they're connected together with F4. With 4 of those, and that's me putting those F4 parts in. Then you can reattach it, bearing in mind that that hole has got to be clear. And that's what that looks like. The chimney stack is complete. Beautiful. Now we're working on the roof section. But before we do that, we need to feed the LED through the base of the chimney. And the wiring comes out like that, and then that feeds through to the roof section. Then it's a case of push fitting the chimney into place with the holes provided. Then onto these struts that fit on the sides, and they're F2s, and there's 2 of those. And they just pop in the hole. And once you've done that, you glue in these 2 parts at F3s. And that's how they fit on. Again, most of the glue I'm using on this is tacky glue, just so you can manoeuvre it afterwards if you need to. Whereas if you use super glue, you're stuck if you make a mistake. Now we continue with the roof section, and F1 and E1, and there's brackets E2, two of those big ones that go at each end. And those small little brackets, the D3s, there's 6 of those. No, 12 of those, sorry. And they just pop into the holes, and then you join these two parts together. Take your time, work all your way around, and that fits together like that. Then we're adding the sensor, well, the pressure point plate that activates everything. So there's a little sticky pad, stick that on, and then you stick that sensor on. And I would advise you to mark up the yellow cable on this with a little bit of tape for later on. Then we're adding B2 and C2. C2 just glues into place on front of it. Then adding the roof sections. Found this was the easiest way to do it. And they just connect in like a bit like a jigsaw thing, but you need to push them into place. And there's 3 parts of that: N1, N3 and N2. That's the last one going into position. It says to glue those, but I didn't. But they are very delicate. That's when the side rails came off, and I put it on just after this. And then you just connect that to the rest of the roof. Take your time on this. This took a good 20 minutes, half hour to do. I'm going to curl those round and push the tabs in, but be very delicate as well. And then that's what that looks like. Beautiful. So you've got the baseboard, and then you attach the cabin in, and that all clips into place. Just wiggle it, push it, and move each one, and it'll eventually slot in. And that cream coloured piece of wood slots underneath at the back of that. That is the mechanism for the moving background, and you can just twist these on, but I soldered them on. So red on the left and yellow on the right. Fantastic. So yeah, the cream baseboard has been fitted underneath the carriage, and now we fit this part on, and the sidewall. And that clips into place on different locations, but also that unit with the motor on, that clips into it as well. Just take your time. Jiggle it and push. I found that was the best method. And that's what that looks like when it's in position. So then we move over to the front of the carriage and we get parts K10 and M2, and we attach the warm light strip P4 to K10, and that will face into the interior of the cabin, and that just clips on one corner. Just like that. This part, M2, just is a guide rail for the doors, and that just doesn't actually slot in, but it just sits in place. Then we bring up A1, which is the other side. We need to make sure all the cables are trailing in the correct position, which I'll show you later on. Then we're working on the doors. So basically you've got these clips that slide into the rail at the top. I waxed everything off so I give a bit more smooth movement. And these K4 parts, one of them would sit in nice and firm and the other one was a bit loose, so I had to glue the one bit in on each door. So I'm doing both doors at the same time, so nice and easy. That's me just checking the work. So it's a bit loose, that one. So yeah, I did glue those in. A bit of super glue. I don't like using super glue unless I know it needs to be sturdy, because there's no coming back once you've glued it in. But as I know these are not going to move, or we need to adjust anything later, then it's fine. Next we're going to add K13 to the base of these, and these are like door stops to stop them going all the way across and out. And it was labelled up as K13, and I had a look in that section and it was empty. So there was another section on that K board with these parts in it as well, so we must have used them somewhere else. So there's two lots of these pairs. So don't panic. So next on is the perspex, and it says to peel off the one side, but it is actually both sides. And this is me just putting them into place, and then we get the door handles on, which is K3 and K5. Then they slot into the grooves at the top and at the bottom, and that's what they look like once completed. I did have to super glue these in later on, the glass perspex sheets, because they did come out. Now we're moving on to the front, and that's K11, K7, K2 and K6, and they just K2, K7, K6 just get glued into place with tacky glue. And that goes over the top of the doors that are in place, and that just slots in. And that's what that looks like once completed. Then you've got to put the roof on, and with the yellow cable marked with a bit of tape so you know which one it is, because that's from the sensor. And there are two types of cable that need to be joined together, two yellow ones. So the yellow of the motor and the yellow one of the switch need to be joined together separately. So you've got all the cables hanging out the back, then you have to join them all together, all the other yellow ones, the two black ones, and the 7 red ones. And it's a bit of a mess. And then you use the old tape, and there we go, quick test, and that's revolving. You do join the yellow wires, the 5 yellow wires, and the black wires together. That took ages to do, by the way. Then it's on with the last board, and that snaps into place. And there she is. Getting snapped into position. Very nice too. And we'll flip it up, and we'll have a look at it with the lights on for a second. Boom! Look at that. Beautiful. So when you turn it on, the lights stay on all the time. And then the switch at the top is just to activate the motor, just so you know. And here it is, the finished Retro Train Booknook by Kaayee. Everything's working just as it should. The soft lighting, the moving scenery, and all those beautiful little interior details. Wraps up the Retro Train Booknook by Kaayee. I love putting this one together, and I hope you've enjoyed following along. If you've been watching since part 1, thank you. Make sure to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.